Music is a universal language, and it can be a language of peace as well that is understood the world over. Well, singer-songwriter Mel Hogan has used his talents to deliver a musical message, a brand new song in support of the people of Ukraine. And he's done it with the help of one of the UK's leading music producers, platinum music producer, in fact, platinum record producing musician Andy Whitmore. And Mel and Andy join us on the phones now. Hello, Mel. Hello, Andy.
Hello, Linda.
Hi, guys. Hi, guys. Great to have. That's a Brucey bonus getting you as well, Andy.
Yeah, nice to see you.
Good. We're normally in bed.
But not together. Great to have you both. It really is. What talent we've got
to be here with you.
Combined with the both of you. I mean, Andy, you've worked with Elton John, Diana Ross, and Peter Andre and Boy George, and it's a who's who of music that you've worked with. And Mel, you've written a book as well as this musical talent. It's the Children of the 23rd Century.
3 of those.
3 now. Amazing.
Amongst other things.
I feel a movie coming on, Mel. Is there a movie in the offing? Because, reading the synopsis of Children of the 23rd Century, that's got movie written all over it, my friend.
We have talked about it, yes. There's the later version, which is called The Searchers, is being considered as we speak.
Wow. I'm not surprised at all. I think.
There you go.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. I mean, it's a kind of it's not it's a bit of a warning to the present, really, isn't it, about the future?
It is, and it's about young people getting involved in the environment and recognizing what we need to do for the future, and it's all happening.
Well, it's all happening now, unfortunately, certainly in terms of the environmental concerns for our planet, but also obviously the more even greater immediate concern, which is the war in Ukraine. And you've harnessed the help of Andy with this. Is this something that you felt compelled to do through seeing what we're seeing?
No, it's actually quite a strange story. I'd hooked up with Andy with a previous song, and I'd booked some time with him, and we got to know each other really well. And this particular morning, about 12, 13 days ago, I got up early. Obviously, I'm shattered by what's happening in Ukraine, and I want to do my bit. And music is the best vehicle for that. But I woke up, poured a coffee, picked up my guitar, put it back down again, had a sip of coffee, picked it up again and wrote the song at 7:30 in the morning without stopping. And that's how it was created. So that's the anthem that has been created. It's a voice for Ukraine, and we hope that everyone in the world sees it for what it is and gets behind it.
We're going to hear Song for the Brave in just a moment. This is a not-for-profit, by the way. The proceeds are going to help.
It's every profit, and we're merchandising, we're doing all sorts of things is going to Ukraine. And it needs to go to Ukraine quickly. And Song for the Brave, I think, is the voice. And it carries our love to Ukraine. And that's what we want to happen. And we want it to go in oceans of support, not just trickles, oceans. And that's what we hope.
And is it going via, did I read that it's going via the Salvation Army to help in Ukraine?
Yes, that's our chosen method. And obviously they're out in the field anyway. And salvos are a passion of mine as well. I always support the Salvation Army, and they do a fantastic job. Song for the Brave will carry the message. It is It's the whole story. It's purposely written for Ukraine. It's not a revamped song. It's brand spanking new, and we hope with Hand on Heart that it just goes viral around the world and creates some relief for our brothers and sisters in Ukraine.
Actually, well, yeah, brothers and sisters is the right phrase. That's exactly who they are. And I was listening to the new the Ukraine entry for this year's Eurovision, which is only 3 weeks away from us. My gosh, what a situation they find themselves in, singing their hearts out on the Eurovision stage like everything was normal, and yet there's this mayhem in the background. But it occurred to me when I heard "Song for the Brave" that actually. What a great song for Europe it is. And Andy, I guess the protest song, if you like, which is an umbrella term, isn't it, for the social activism songs that were familiar to people in the 60s, maybe into the 70s, from Joni Mitchell, and, they paved paradise and put up a parking lot, and, all the anti-war songs and so on. They kind of, in the commercial era that then followed, say, in the 80s and 90s, they died a death, those kind of songs. Can you see them re-emerging now because music is this universal language?
Well, it's difficult to say that they kind of died a death when you think of some of the songs that came out in the 90s, from Quincy Jones with We Are the World, and, I don't want to mention Bob Geldof, but there was a lot of protest songs in the 60s and 70s, but there have been some massive charity songs in the 90s, and I think it's still going on now.
And you've worked with some of the great names, Elton John and Diana Ross as well, and Eternal and Lemar and Boy George. The list goes on. When you deal with such amazing world names, what is uppermost in your mind? Are you working towards their sound, their uniqueness, or are you working towards what's right for the piece of music? Which way round is it for such a successful producer like you? What are you listening for? What are you adding to me? You're like a master chef. You are looking for the missing ingredients that are going to give the finished dish what it needs for mass appeal.
Really, especially with the likes of Elton John, what you're kind of doing is kind of adding a currentness to what they're doing. These guys, they've always got great melody and they've got great songs, and I'm very in touch with what's going on in the music scene as general. I always work very closely with DJs to keep my music current. That's kind of the person that puts everything together. So the main thing I do with Elton is I hear his music, try to just bring a currently to it. So, I remember the couple of songs that I did for him, they had a real DJ element to them.
Yeah, you've first of all, you started your career, didn't you, as a keyboard player? You applied for a job as a keyboard player for Spandau Ballet. And then you toured with Terence Trent D'Arby, and then went on to work with Elton John and Fine Young Cannibals, I think the Pet Shop Boys as well. A really, truly extensive catalogue of music. And you've worked in TV and advertising as well?
In the late 80s and 90s, I was like kind of my ambition was to be a top session keyboard player, and it literally took 2 years to get to, I don't want to say to the top, but I was right at the top of the session scene. And I did that very successfully for about 7 years, and I was really enjoying it. And I kind of thought, well, I don't want to be the oldest I don't want to be the keyboard player that's older than the record producer. So maybe I should think of getting into production. No, I was only about 30 years old when I was worried about getting too old. I had no idea, obviously. Then but yeah, I managed to play on about 50 hit records before I got into production. And then when it came to production, I would get, the people that couldn't afford my fee, because by this point I was working at Abbey Road quite regularly. I was charging more for my roadie than some keyboard players were actually charging. But the rates were good in those days. I hooked up with Peter Andre, and I played him a load of my backing tracks that I had available, and there was a couple of backing tracks that he really loved, and so he wrote a couple of songs over my backing tracks, and one of them became a hit, and that kind of kick-started my production career.
But as well as producing all these amazing, multi-award-winning songs for everybody else, you still have the passion for the keyboard yourself, to still be, the working musician as well as the producer in charge of it all.
Yeah, keyboards is definitely my thing. I play the piano every day of the week. I actually practice. It's really important for me to keep my chops up, because invariably every time I go out, if there's a piano there, I have to play a few songs for people. It's good. It's a bit of a buzz, really. So I know my classical pieces and Scott Joplin. On the keyboard side, I've gone a bit mad on my keyboard collection as well. Got a massive keyboard collection and a Steinway piano as well. So,
oh my gosh! And are these in your studio? Are these in Greystoke studio, or is these in the house?
No, they're in the studio. I've developed a very amazing... I've got some really high-tech stands that can store a lot of keyboards in a very small space. There's a lot of keyboards in there, but I've tried to make it so that the studio still feels roomy. I need to stop buying keyboards.
A compulsion, clearly a compulsion. Where did you train, Andy?
I had a private music teacher, a young lady called Miranda Robertson. I'm very aware that young kids these days, they get thrown into loads and loads of things. I was offered one thing, piano practice, and I kind of grabbed that by the horns. I had a little, when I was 14 years old, I had a little rebellion. I told my dad, I don't want to do piano anymore. He said, oh, that's great. They cost too much anyway. And he was just about to cancel them. I said, oh, give me a chance. And I think that made me keep it going to 18. And when I was at school, there's a lot of people playing piano, but by the time I finished school, there was only a couple of us left. So I'm very grateful to my parents that they invested in me. And it was fantastic that I learned that trait, and lucky that I kind of got a great in the music that I could actually turn that trait into a way of making a living.
Gosh, and some, yes, hugely successfully so as well. It's wonderful to hear about a life steeped in music, and you too, Mel, are steeped in music very successfully so. I mean, home is here, but you're Australian originally?
No, I'm English originally, but I spent my growing up years in Australia.
Ah.
Hence the little twang that I have.
Yeah, it's very discernible.
And it's a great place to live too. It was great for my growing up years. I learnt how to play music. I learnt how to perform music there, and I knew everyone there. So, but home now is here in sunny Oxfordshire. So it's or lovely Oxfordshire, I should say, and I'm enjoying a resurgence in my career. Andy was worried about being 30 years old and getting older than the keyboard. I think I'm older than most of his keyboards.
What about your own children, Mel? Have they, are you encouraging them to follow in your musical footsteps?
Well, you know what children are like. They don't think we know anything. So
how true.
So you can try and encourage, but the way of the world now, and our youngsters, they do what they want to do. I wouldn't discourage them. I would encourage anything they wanted to do. I would be behind them 100%. And that's always been my credo of life. Always encourage. You can't discourage creativity. You've got to encourage it, good, bad, or indifferent.
And one of the saddest, things that we're seeing, obviously, in the coverage of the war in Ukraine is is the children, the situation with the children and their interrupted lives and all the things that we do. It's awful seeing, bombed playgrounds and swings and slides. It's terrible.
It's terrible, and it makes you feel guilty. We haven't learned from the past. When I say we, some people haven't learned from the past, and it's so bad, and you feel guilty. I mean, Song for the Brave is a celestial light. It's something that was created out of the passion and the compassion of what's happening in Ukraine. And I'm so grateful for the ability to be able to put into word and into melody how I feel. And I think if people follow that example, the world would be a great place and there wouldn't be any wars.
Well, let's let the listeners hear Song for the Brave.
I know our walls have come tumbling down. Innocent tears of blood have tainted the ground. There's a hole in the clouds that wasn't there, but we won't bury our heads in despair. Our hearts will rise above the ruins. We will fight with fists of our might. Every soul will have its reckoning. Every breath will turn darkness into light. Millions of hopes and dreams still keep our wheels turning, even though our beds are burning. We will take the bullets on the chin. We are indestructible, Mr. Putin. This is a song for the brave, a tribute to every name. This is a song for the brave.
gorgeous. I think that's stunning. It really is shivers down the spine song, that one. It's so rousing and just beautifully produced. Song for the Brave, Mel Hogan and Andy Whitmore. And Mel, I heard that you said that you didn't so much write the song as guided the pen.
It was unbelievable. I didn't set out to write it, and it just flowed. And I would never send Andy my acoustic with acoustic playing of my vocal, but I sent it directly to him, and he recognised the message, and that's what we've been doing, recording it since it was written about 12 days ago. So yes. I don't think I wrote it. I think there was, well, I know there's divinity there. There was a guiding light, and I tell you what, it's an anthem for Ukraine, and we all love Ukraine. So let's all get behind Song for the Brave and make it special for them.
And I hear that not only have you put your money where your mouth is, you put in your car where it is as well. Your beloved car.
Well. Well, I sound like Mother Teresa. I'm not. The situation is I have a car in my garage that I just wash, wipe over and look at and maybe drive once 2 or 3 months. It's a great little convertible. It's 33 years old. And if it helps the situation, I don't want a little puddle of financial aid. I want oceans. This will help create oceans because people would love to own this motor car, and I love to own it. But it's an indulgence that I don't need. It's not blankets, it's not medical aid, and it's not food, and it can be turned into that.
I know you spent years dreaming of that car and saving up for it. Have you, as well as the situation in Ukraine, have you got your dad in mind? Because he was a military man, wasn't he?
Yes, yes, he was right up there as far as I'm concerned. Never talked about the atrocities of war. Talked about his time in the war, but never talked about the atrocities that we're hearing now. I mean, yes, he's long departed, and I'm proud of him, and I'm sure he'll be looking down and very proud of me, and he would also be proud of Andy too, because we're working together so well. And it's very passionate, it's very compassionate, and yes, Dad, if you are watching, you smile on Ukraine, please.
Wow. And I'm watching as well, and I agree with that. Amazing. Yeah. A great relationship.
Yes, it is. It is, and I'm blessed.
Yeah, and inspired, obviously. And yes. Andy, do you understand what I mean when I heard that song? That I thought it had Eurovision, a Eurovision sound to it. Do you know what I mean by that Eurovision sound that they're looking for? Because we've never had any. Where have you been, by the way, Andy? Where have you been when we've needed to put a belter of a song on the stage of Eurovision to help the UK win?
Well, I've just been making music everywhere, and my music's all over television. It's just I've decided to get back into the spotlight a little bit as well.
Well, please consider Eurovision at some stage, because, you know, although the entry we've got this year, that I've heard it and I like it, and, you know, but I've liked previous ones and we've got nowhere. We've not been able to somehow catch the tone or the mood that was wanted. So maybe in your busy schedule, Andy, it might be something you could consider for the future. I mean, I don't know whether they want a song that is overtly filled with a political message with a small p. I don't know, but you would judge that. You would be the better judge of that. Come on, we've tried everything. You've got to come to the aid of the party.
Well, I think I need to get in there and sort that out, and I think I'm going to bring in Mel as well, because he's the guy that can write the song. We could really tear up the next Eurovision. We're focusing on Ukraine at the moment. That is a dire need. And then obviously the future is the future.
So where can people listen to the song then? Where can they get it from? Because obviously, downloading music now, availing yourself of music is a totally changed world. I mean, in the time you've been producing all these multi-platinum records, Andy, the way to access music has changed completely, hasn't it?
It's changed completely. Well, I'm afraid they're going to have to be patient. The track is not released until Friday the 15th. That's, I believe it's about 3 days away, unless this interview's gone over 12 o'clock. And then they can get it everywhere.
On all the usual platforms to
Absolutely
download.
everywhere, yeah.
Spotify, Apple iTunes, all that, yeah.
Absolutely. We haven't done the vinyl, but we've done everything else. So probably the vinyl's on the radar as well.
Well, we wish you all the very best with it. It's a beautiful song. So much soul and thought and artistry and talent has gone into it as well. It deserves to succeed. And what about the car, Mel? How do people, put a bid in for your car? Where's that going on?
It's not a bid. What it is it's a £5. Including download of the song, which will go directly to the car, and it's going to be the first person that is the 100,000th download or stream will get the car. Whether it's here in other parts of the world, they'll get the car, and it's safe and sound, tucked up, asleep in my garage right now. so yes, it will cost £5 to get involved in the car, but the car, there's only one in the country, and it's for the future, it's going to be worth a lot of money. So it's a good incentive to spend that extra. So it's going to cost £5 or £6 to including the song, to be involved in that. And it's a good incentive, great incentive. It was an incentive for me to buy it originally. And I'm surprised really, because it won't have to be prized out of my arms. I will give it gladly.
We'll have the details on the omnivibe.com site. So you'll have details of how to stick a bid in for the car.
Okay, that's on the Omnivibe website. Okay, like the Mazda RX-7 convertible, 1989 model, I hope the song for the brave races to the top. Andy, Mel, great to have you both on the show. Great to catch up with you and hear something about your wonderful musical lives. And here's wishing all the best to the song for Ukraine.
It's a real pleasure to meet you.
Thank you. And so grateful to you, Linda. Thank you for having us and giving us the
My absolute pleasure to meet both of you. Hope to meet you again sometime very soon. Andy, when the next platinum seller is out, and Mel, when Children of the 23rd Century is the Spielberg movie it deserves to be. Good luck to both of you.
I'll come and sign it for you, okay?
That's a deal. That's a deal.
Okay.
I'll also hopefully get you to sign the car if I win it.
All right. Yes, and there'll be a picture of the car on the website too. Okay.
Lovely. We'll look forward to it. Thank you, Mel. Thank you, Andy. God bless you both. Bye for now.
Good night to you.
Bye, guys. Bye for now.
Good night.